everybody, and welcome back to The Discerning Otaku. I'm here once again with another review, but this one about a visual novel that I recently checked out called Saya no Uta, or The Song of Saya. It is an eroge visual novel written by Gen Urobuchi, who's most likely well known for Madoka Magica, Fate Stay, and Psychopaths, which within the anime community are huge. The stories there are things that people talk about to this day, even though they're quite a bit older, just based on how well done they are with both psychological aspects, horror aspects, and in the instance of Fate, a lot of the action aspects for the anime. But Saina Uta was done in 2003, and I recently picked it up for my Steam Deck, and I actually went through JAST and got the uncensor patch for it. Which I wouldn't recommend for a lot of people unless you're very well aware of what the game contains. It does contain a lot of sexual content, including some darker portions of that. However, I will say it was an enjoyable visual novel. The story is very interesting. It basically is about Fuminori Sakasaki. Sakasaki Saka. I messed that one up horribly. Basically is a college student who was previously in a car accident, and when awaking from said accident, the entire world around him looks basically what you would see in a Doom video game. It's very guts and gore everywhere. Humans look like monsters, and the entire story is very Lovecraftian, which the creator has actually said he was inspired by a lot of Lovecraft stories when he was coming up with this one. The artwork is absolutely stunning, both in the goriness and in the fact that it's just very well done. The game does move at a fairly brisk pace. I believe I beat the entire game with every single ending between 6 or 8 hours. It wasn't incredibly long, and the story is not relatively anything groundbreaking. It's just a good anime adaptation of Lovecraft. So you can take that for what you will, but I definitely did enjoy it. Like I said, it does touch on some rather harsh topics, so trigger warning there definitely for a lot of people, is it's not the easiest thing to trudge through. There's a lot of stuff that's fairly difficult to read and visually see if you're using the uncensored patch. Now, I wanted to do the uncensored patch, not for the H scenes more or less, but just because I don't like things being censored. I like to see the full idea played out that the creator came up with, so that's why I chose to install it. And it does dredge into some harsher topics. I don't think it detracts from the story, but I do think that it actually gives a lot of motivations for the main characters as to why they do the things that they do and why they go to these harsh degrees. I think that a lot of that is necessary when it comes to showing the character development. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing. Definitely do not emulate anything in this, because it is definitely not good, but it does give the character a lot of depth, which is a lot of things that I find lacking in certain media lately, is giving characters depth, giving them motivations, giving them reasons of why they do the things they do in the way they are, for better or for worse. And I think Sai no Uta does a good job of exploring that, albeit on the darker side and to the extreme. Now, that being said, the H scenes are there with the JAST patch, and they are, in certain circumstances, unnecessary. There are some that are in there that just kind of made me go, huh. But better for worse, I did want to play the game completely uncensored. But back to the story. So the character sees everything guts and gore until he meets a girl. She comes into the hospital, and she's the only person that he sees as an actual human instead of a Lovecraftian monster, was how he sees everybody else. Even his friends, he sees them as monsters that talk to him in hisses and snarls, whereas Saya to his description, is more or less an angel when he sees her. She still looks like a normal human being. And that starts into the story of him living with Saya and trying to kind of navigate his way through this life that he no longer deems worthy of living prior to meeting her, and how he wants to move forward with her in tow. And it's pretty quick to that point that you start seeing some things are not as they seem. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'm not going to do anything like that. Like I said, it's a pretty short visual novel for people that may want to check it out. And doing any sort of spoilers would ruin the few hours that it would take to get you to these things. But I will say that up through the ending, it has 3 different endings. I watched all of the endings. Most of them are fairly anticlimactic. I do feel that the true ending is probably the least anticlimactic, but it's also one of those rooting for the bad guy type endings, whereas the other 2 just kind of sum up the story neat and tidy in a couple different ways. None of them are particularly bad. None of them are particularly groundbreaking. Like I said, this is largely inspired by Lovecraft, so it's not breaking any new ground. It's not treading on anything that hasn't been done before, but the art style of the visual novel is very beautiful. Even to the gore aesthetics are very, very well done. The characters are very well thought out. There's a lot of stuff to them that I actually appreciated, with the depth of characters psychologically that they've put certain characters through. The story did go in some ways I didn't really imagine it would at certain points. That's not to say that it's, like I said before, it's not groundbreaking, but there were just certain times where I was honestly kind of impressed the route that it took to get to the end there. If I were to rate this on a 5-point scale, I'd probably put it about a 3.5. For the story, visuals are probably closer to a 4. I was fairly impressed with how the game actually portrayed everything out, and as a complete package, I was honestly very happy with it. It's a fairly cheap game through Steam. I believe it's usually around $13.99 or something to that extent, so it's fairly minimal amount of money for a game that's a minimal amount of time sink, and the Jast patch is free. I got everything through my Steam Deck pretty easily, installed the patch and the game through there with no issues, and most people play visual novels on laptops, even easier to do there if you do want to check it out. But like I said, forewarning or trigger warning as it were, about a lot of the content in the game will be relatively harsh, dealing on topics of suicide and things to that nature. It will be fairly aggressive, so if you are going into it, know that beforehand. This is not a game made for everybody. This is definitely a mature rated game for a reason, not just with the blood, guts, and gore, just with the subject matter in general. That being said, I was happy to check it out solely due to the lineage of the creation of the game, with Gen Urobuchi being the creator of Fate's Stay, Madoka, and Psycho Pass being the 3 things that I absolutely adore. So I did want to check it out, and I was happy that I did. But if you guys have checked out Saya no Uta, or The Song of Saya, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Let me know if those are the type of games that you like. If you don't, if there's any other visual novels that you think I should check out or that you yourself really enjoy, let me know. I do have a couple more that I have finished that I will be doing some videos on as well, just to let everybody know that. I've been really delving into visual novels since I got my Steam Deck. I generally do most of my computing on a Mac, so I was very much lost to visual novels over the years, and this has been giving me a nice little respite to be able to enjoy them finally. So I've also got some videos coming up for Higurashi. I finished chapter 1 recently and would love to talk about that because I love that series. But yeah, I believe that's going to be all for now. Thanks for tuning in once again, and like I said, if you like the new format, comment down below, like and subscribe if you're so inclined to. And as per always, have a great day, read more manga, watch more anime.